Good day, awesome YouTubers. It is Lollyman16 here again for another Dragon Ball Super discussion. And today, in preparation for the Universe Survival arc, we will be covering all the 12 Gods of Destruction from start to finish. I'll be kind of going into their roles, their personalities, their character and character moments, and their overall abilities and overall qualities that they all possess. I'll be covering them in the order that they were formally introduced, so that means we are starting off with Lord Beerus. Let's go. So first up is Beerus. He is the Dainana Uchu no Hakaishin, or also known as the God of Destruction of Universe 7. He first appeared in the Battle of Gods, both in the 2013 movie and Episode 1 of Dragon Ball Super. Now it's pretty common knowledge that Toriyama based his design off of an old Cornish cat. I believe his name is Devil, if I'm not mistaken correctly. And the original Beerus is supposed to be a pun on a virus, but was designed differently by Toriyama. And of course, the whole virus thing that was made up by Toriyama's editor at the time of the movie. His name now is a dual pun on both an alcoholic beverage, beer, and also being as a virus, or Beerus as he's named, in Japanese. So of course it makes sense that he is a pun on virus. He is the most prominent god of the 12 Gods of Destruction, being in every arc of Dragon Ball Super and appearing in pretty much every episode. So some facts about Lord Beerus. He once sealed away the Elder Kai in the Z-Sword when he got angry at him at one time during one of the Hakaishin/Kaioshin meetings that are held every 1,000 years or every millennium, and like all gods of destruction, he has a Supreme Kai who is his life link, meaning that pretty much if one dies, then the other dies along with him. It's kind of similar to what Kami and Piccolo were back in Dragon Ball and continuing on in Dragon Ball Z, and of course not anymore because they have since fused. Essentially, this whole lifelink thing fulfills the balance of both creation and destruction, since the Supreme Kais are creation and Beerus is the god of destruction. A pretty interesting note here, this fact wasn't revealed until quite some time until both the anime and the manga of Dragon Ball Super. It's unsure whether you need to kill all the Supreme Kais, meaning all 5 to kill Beerus or not, but I am sure we will get an answer to that later on. In terms of personality, Beerus is playful like a cat. He is very lazy, but not as lazy as his brother, which I will get into later on. And he likes food a lot. I mean, so does Whis, but his attendant. But he can switch moods and become extremely serious if he so chooses. He frequently enjoys his role of being god of destruction and considers himself to be a rather kind and gentle deity, though he can act childish if he doesn't get what he wants. In many ways, Beerus is the same as Son Goku. They both love a good challenge, and I've found that, like many extremely powerful beings in anime, Beerus can't get the satisfaction of, having a true fight very often due to himself being so extremely powerful. Now, there's quite a big difference in his character in terms of the anime versus the Battle of Gods movie. He tends to be more, I don't know how you'd say it, he tends to be more fun and maybe not as serious, maybe more uh, playful and of sorts in the movie, and a lot of times in the anime, he tends to be more serious, which I actually think I like the serious Beerus more, but it's good to have a real character with good personality along with it. So Beerus is often cocky, and if he were to get things wrong, or if he screws up, sometimes he will usually blame it on others, or really just simply say it wasn't of any of his concern, as seen in the Future Trunks arc when he got the whole thing with Goku Black and Zamasu and the whole time traveling thing wrong. He is feared across the universe, but he's still afraid of the Omni King, and I'm assuming that's like every other god of destruction. So as many of you guys know, Beerus has an attendant Whis. His name is also a pun corresponding to an alcoholic beverage, just like all others. His name is a pun on whiskey. And Whis is Beerus's martial arts mentor, and he has pretty much the most years lived. He's lived pretty much as long as Beerus has, which means that Whis and Beerus both have which lived for hundreds of millions of years. We're not exactly how sure exactly. I don't think it even states, how exactly long. But, in the anime, I believe episode 5, Beerus says, he's lived for hundreds of millions of years. So that is an interesting concept to learn there. Now, similar to the Supreme Kai, if Beerus were to die, then Whis actually, he wouldn't necessarily die, but Whis, his angel, becomes inactive until the next god of destruction is appointed. So it means this essentially proves that Beerus was probably not the first. Maybe he is the first god of destruction of Universe 7, but we're not sure of that. But if Beerus ever dies, then Whis becomes inactive. So essentially, all the angels, their god of destructions, and their supreme kais are all linked together, and this makes sense throughout the god hierarchy, and it makes sense in terms of how you look at things from a, I guess, a philosophical perspective. Creation, destruction, balance, all that good stuff. In terms of his backstory, we don't really know too much about him, or we don't really know too much about the other gods of destruction, really. Except, he has a twin brother, Champa, who is the god of destruction of Universe 6. They fight frequently, and they really could never get along very well. And I'm pretty sure that Champa and Beerus have a pretty rough relationship. I'm not sure exactly how they were, brought up as twins. But in the manga, I believe in one of the earlier chapters of the manga, it is revealed that they got in a scuffle over a puff fruit that I think they both got for their birthday, and Beerus ate it, and so Beerus and Champa have been pretty much squabbling ever since. And it's interesting to see their dynamic as twin brothers, and of course Champa being Universe 6, he is the link to Universe 7's, because if you add the numbers of the two universes combined, they are number 13. Beerus is extremely powerful in terms of his abilities. He can easily destroy planets. He once sneezed a few stars into oblivion in the Resurrection F saga, if you guys remember. Beerus also can destroy the universe if he wants to, as shown with a battle not only with Champa, but it was also shown, earlier on in the Battle of Gods arc and the movie. Well, more so of the arc than the movie, because the movie, it is implied he had a high amount of energy, but in the anime, I should say, Goku and Beerus, they clashed several times, and it felt more like a battle of gods, battle of high supreme deities, where they can, their hits basically essentially created ripples affecting the entire universe, which of course means the whole macrocosm and the whole hell, heaven, earth, the Kai realms, all that good stuff. I explained in the Daizenshuu 7, how the universe is structured, or at least Universe 7 is structured. It's still heavily implied that he is still ahead of Goku and Vegeta both, via statements by Toriyama, a number of years ago, and dialogue said in the Super series. It's interesting to note here that even though Goku and Vegeta have progressed throughout the entirety of not only Dragon Ball series, but of the Super series as well, Beerus is still implied to be stronger. I found that really interesting. I find that some people can't really accept that fact that Beerus is still ahead of Goku and Vegeta, but I can kind of understand it still. But I think Goku and Vegeta will pass him at some point in terms of strength and technique. A couple of more things about Beerus in terms of his overall capabilities. Being a god, Beerus has acquired really a lot of techniques throughout his life. Some interesting ones that I picked up were cloning, and the cloning one was shown in episode 12 only in the anime. It was never shown in the manga, nor it was shown in the Battle of Gods or Resurrection F movies, so I don't know if you can technically count that canon, I guess, quote unquote. And he also has a Hakai ability, which people really like to talk about. That's probably their favorite move. I have a different favorite move from Beerus, but I'll get into that later. But essentially, the Hakai ability is an ability that can erase his foes with his ki. Now, speaking about ki, Beerus, like all other deities, possesses God ki. It's essentially a type of ki that cannot be sensed by mortals, and you have to have specific ki control and training with other high deities to obtain this power. For example, Whis or Vados or any of the Angels of Swords. It's really interesting because Whis in Resurrection F revealed to the audience that, and both in the movie and in the Resurrection F arc anime, that Beerus still does not have full mastery of his martial arts abilities, even though he's lived for hundreds of millions of years, meaning that Beerus cannot think and act at the same time without, he can block stuff without even thinking, because brainwaves travel only so far. So, even though Beerus is extremely powerful, extremely powerful, it's still implied that he's not up to Whis' level, and it will be interesting to see if Goku will ever surpass him in that time. So, just a few more things about Beerus. First of all, going into what Beerus has done in the Battle of Gods arc, he of course fought in, that was the main kicker to Dragon Ball Super, introducing the Hakaishin God of Destruction and the whole 12 universes thing. That wasn't actually revealed until like episode 30 or, way later on into the series. But Beerus is still a pretty prevalent player. He wasn't exactly a big player in the Resurrection F arc. He just showed up and he kind of had some dialogue and stuff with Frieza. And in the Shamba arc, he was pretty prevalent. Beerus has been prevalent throughout the entirety of the series, but he hasn't really done much. It shows kind of his, laziness as a character. That doesn't mean that Beerus won't go and destroy things. He loves his God of Destruction role, so he will destroy things if he finds it necessary. And it doesn't matter who you are. He'll just Hakai anyone who he thinks is bad. Even other deities like, Zamasu. It's interesting because even though the only guy he really fears is Zeno, and maybe to some extent the other Hakaishin. But again, it'll be interesting to see all the gods of destruction, their roles, and their relationship with Lord Beerus. So that's pretty much everything I have to cover for this guy, Lord Beerus. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think on Beerus. Let me know your thoughts on his whole relationship with Goku and the Z Gang. And I can't wait to see how he's going to interact with the other gods of destruction. And I can't wait to see what he does in the future. That's all I got for you. Hope it gave you some insight about Beerus and the gods. Next up, we have Champa talking about Universe 6. I'll cover that in my next video. That's all I got for you. Stay awesome, everybody, and have a good one.